Well, hello there, my friends. Hello, Miss Janice, and hello, Millie. Hello, Miss Grace. Hi, beautiful people. It looks like you got me again. I hope y'all are doing well tonight. I'm sure everybody else is elsewhere, and that's just fine. I promised y'all I would be on again, but we had some breaking news a couple of hours ago. So I'm just going to break it to you. It will be just a couple of hours late, but it was broken my live earlier. So y'all already know. And I'll just move on because, like I said, I know people's live, and that's just fine. Um, oh, and I'm happy to see y'all always, Miss Millie. I sure am. And I hope y'all had a good couple of hours and got some dinner and all the things. All the things. So, as you know, the breaking news is Brian Kohlberger. He took a plea deal. He took a plea deal. They offered him a plea deal in the midst of fixing to have his trial to all four murder charges and that burglary in exchange for the death penalty being taken off the table. Whoa, what y'all think about that? Hey, Gypsy. Welcome, honey. Welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you. You're probably tired of seeing me today. I was going to do something else, but I'll save it for tomorrow. It's fine. So, yeah, I was just really surprised. So that means he will spend the rest of his natural life in prison. Millie said that chicken POS didn't care to unalive these students, but he doesn't want to die. That's right. And I was thinking about that earlier, Millie. So I don't think we'll see anything like Lori Page's dad happen. I still think it wasn't natural causes, but okay. We might see a Jeffrey Dahmer, but you know, Lord Smiley, you can't ever stay on topic, can you? Whoop, whoop. Back to the class. Back to the class. Stay on track. Stay on track. Just saying. He'll spend the rest of his natural days in prison, though. He waived his rights to all the appeals, and so he avoids any possibility of any executions. Miss Grace. Lord, I could have never sat in your spot for over 30 years under that judge. Did what you did, honey. I sure couldn't have kept quiet. I couldn't have had that job either. Lord knows. Yeah, Gypsy, this can't be his first. That's right. Too many, and he was too quick. That's right. See, here's the thing I always say. You get caught eventually. I don't think you just wake up one day and say, oh, I'm going to go do this. I think you only just get caught at it. Miss Grace said, that's why I'm cray-cray. You're not cray-cray, Miss Grace. I would have been cray-cray sitting there because I'd have had to jump up across that table. See, God knows not to put me in those situations. That's what I said. I'm not a very calm, patient person. I may look like it, but you can't judge a book by its cover sometimes. I'm just saying. But so, you need a custom bell. That's right. That's what you get for Christmas. Everybody's going to get a custom bell. But, so what changed? What changed today? I think these pleas have been in works for a little bit. But what changed now? Did this plea just come out of nowhere? I don't think so. Maybe, but I don't think so. The defense had been negotiating behind the scenes, I believe, and the prosecutors back and forth after speaking with some of the victims' families, maybe. But see, they made a mistake. They didn't speak to all the families, obviously, because some of the families done come out and said, we did not know this. For some reason, they didn't let them know. I don't think that was right. I think that was like a slap in the face. Maybe they would have agreed in the end. Maybe they would have said, okay, yep, maybe they could have all sat down like adults and rationalized. Because some people don't want to go through the trials. Maybe they, just wanted to be a part of it. But not everyone agrees with the decision that they made. It was very wrong, Millie. I agree. I do agree. The victim's families, especially Kaylee's family in particular, is not happy campers. They've spoken out. They said they are beyond furious. That's some very strong words there. And they said they're furious at the state of Idaho, in their words, and they feel the system failed, by not pushing for the ultimate punishment. Other families have mixed emotions and reactions, and some of them are staying private for right now. Yeah, he'll pass in there. He's not getting out. He'll pass by the hands of others or naturally or at his own hands if he gets tired of it. But he won't see the light of day. But here's what to expect. They'll formally charge him at his hearing. Let's see, when is his hearing? Is his hearing July 2nd? Is that when it is? July 2nd? Shit, we're 2 days from that? Am I wrong on that? Why do I have July 2nd? Or is it August? No, he was supposed to. Okay, so wait a minute. Is it July 2nd? Am I wrong on that? Hold on. The plea hearing is going to be July 2nd. Oh my God, that's only a couple days away. Lord have mercy, I'm losing my mind. See? Okay, so they're going to have the plea hearing July 2nd. That's 2 days from now. Whoa, okay. So that'll happen. And once he's sentenced, he'll begin to serve 4 consecutive life sentences. No parole, no appeals, no chance of getting out. It's over. Now, you can put your thoughts down and everything, but I'm just telling you, I want to let you know that the victims' families, they still will get to do their closing statements. They'll still get to do that. But I want to let you know also, legally, and I'm definitely not taking it for them because it's a matter of courtesy. I would be pissed to the max. Every one of them. Some of them's probably in shock. They got letters, man. They got letters. But legally, the prosecutors are not required. And I don't know if that's in every state or not. They're not required to get the family's approval for plea deals. But they should notify them and they should try to include them and let them know what the process is as much as possible. It's a common decency. It's a common courtesy, especially in high-profile murder cases. It's their children, not theirs. what likely happened, prosecutors informed the families of the plea deal that it was being discussed, but not that it went through, not that nothing happened, and I'm just assuming on that. But they did not require their approval or their permission. In many places, again, I don't know if this is just where they're at or their state, but just for future references, if you're ever in that state and something like this happens, you better be up to par on it. That's why I'm telling you. Or if anything like this ever happens to your family, and I don't care what state you're in, you need to be up to par on it before anything like this happens. Um, but and thank you for that. I just only got part of that. I only seen what you sent me partly. Thank you. But in many jurisdictions, especially Idaho, plea negotiations are considered part of the prosecutor's discretions, meaning the final call rests with the district attorney and state attorney and not the families. And that's a shame. That too, I think, needs to be changed. Maybe they figured, or do any interviews, that's right. Maybe they figure that, what do you call that? It's four families. Maybe they figure they couldn't make up their mind or something, and that's not right. That should not be the case. Some like Kaylee's family feel completely blindsided and betrayed, and I don't blame them one bit. They believed they were left out. They felt left out. Hey, Rome. And I would too. You know, that was a very important, meaningful discussion that they should have had. And, you know, talking about their children, the removal of the death penalty. And I can understand. Sadly, it is common in criminal cases. Families, you know, are allowed to voice their opinions. But at the same time, prosecutors are not legally bound to follow those wishes. And that's a shame. It's just a shame. Especially for the families that wanted the death penalty, it feels like their voices were ignored. You know, it was a waste of taxpayers' money as well. So it's really a slap in the face to all the taxpayers too. This shocked everybody, in my opinion. I didn't follow this. I know a lot about this case, but I didn't follow this case and put it on here. But again, like I said about that other case, you had to be under a rock not to follow this. I mean, not to know about what's going on with this case. I mean, you really did. Yeah, and you're right. And I don't know about y'all, but like here in certain cases, they only give you so much time to do a plea deal. And then it's took off the table. It's not really this far into it where all of a sudden you just do a damn plea deal and balloon, there it is. Especially on a case like this with these charges. What? That's surprising. That's surprising to me. You know, anyone who's watching who's trying to process this, yeah, you don't mess around with Florida. You sure don't mess around with Florida. Florida don't play. Florida don't play about nothing. Mess around and find out. You ain't smiling around and finding out. You ain't effing around and finding out. You ain't doing nothing. You just gonna find out. But, there's a lot of people trying to process this right now. It's unreal. It's unheard of. Things need to be changed. I just want to say tonight, I stand with these families. I stand with their right to be heard and to be respected. They should be respected. On one hand, I get it because the witnesses and the families, honestly. But see, that's not up to the prosecutors and the DAs to tell them what they should not. I can see it now. They can't go up and to Kaylee's parents or anybody else's and go, well, and we can't either. We can't go. It'd be like doing that to Seth. You can't go up to somebody and go, well, honey, look at it this way. You're better off. You're not going to see the pictures. You're not going to have to sit through trial. You're not going to have to this, and you're not going to have to relive, and you're not going to do that, and blah, 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 blah. It's not your place. It's not your child. You can't tell somebody what they can and cannot relive or do. You just can't. It's not your decision. So I can understand on one hand. I always can balance out on both sides. I can see both sides. I can understand the jury and the parents, and I can understand the witnesses not having to relive that god-awful stuff. Not having to go through a trial, not having to do any of that. I can understand that. But again, at the end of the day, the parents should have been respected enough just to let them feel like they were a part of, to be talked to like human beings, even if it was to let them think they made the decision to decide, period. They always have a special place at that table, period. So I stand with the families and their right to be heard and respected. And I am so sorry that they felt and were not included. I just hope moving forward that the state of Idaho and every other courtroom across this country remembers that. I do want to play a couple of videos. Just give me a minute here.
What we have just learned from this transcript being unsealed is that it was the FBI that went to Idaho law enforcement December 19th of 2022, and they said, you need to investigate a Brian Koberger. And it was all because of genetic genealogy. Now, we know there was a knife sheath that was partially under the body of Maddie Mogan, and that knife sheath had a metal button, and that button had unknown male DNA. What we did not know is that that DNA was taken by Idaho authorities personally to Houston, Texas, to begin a genetic genealogy family tree investigation. According to this transcript, what authorities found in Houston were two main DNA matches. They were lone matches of cousins related to second generation great grandparents. And as they came down to present day, there were four brothers. The brothers did not have the name of Koberger. But the authorities at the laboratory told the FBI, you need to try to get the DNA from one of those brothers, have them put it in a public database so we can get more information. The FBI contacted a brother. That brother said, do not contact me. But the FBI continued their work, arriving at the name of Koberger. So the evidence becomes public, and the people and the defendant and the jury determine if Brian Koberger is guilty of 4 counts of premeditated murder.
So that's how that started, or, that's how they got the DNA off of that one thing. Hold on a minute. I just want to go back on 2 videos. Hold on a minute. Sorry, it's hard to see.
With AARP vision plans from VSP, you're pulling the strings because taking care of your eye health after retirement comes with a lot of decisions that only you should make. So choose your lens enhancements, your frames, and even how you enroll.
News Nation. Oh, wait a minute. Now I got to skip the channel. Oh, there it goes.
So one of the surviving roommates in that Idaho quadruple murder trial now fighting a subpoena that would force her to testify at a hearing as part of Brian.
See, this is why I can understand that.
Now, his attorneys claim that her testimony could clear the murder charges against him. Nancy Grace, host of Crime Stories, here now. The pretrial hearing, I think, end of June on the schedule right now, if it stands. Nancy, go ahead and, let's inform our viewers on, as reminders, is what happened.
I do too.
This roommate apparently was inside for about 8 hours before the police were called. And the police were called by a friend of theirs who wasn't even there.
Or they won't ever get answers. That's what will drive me nuts.
This woman has exclusive information about the alleged killer. Should she be compelled or not, Nancy?
Absolutely not. There were 2 roommates living on what we believe to be the very bottom floor of the murder scene. The 4 beautiful University of Idaho students were on the upper levels, as you can see there in what you're showing. We understand that one roommate, Dylan Mortensen, stepped out after hearing something upstairs that she thought was a roommate playing with a dog, and she sees a white male dressed in dark clothing, wearing a face mask with bushy eyebrows, tall and thin, much like the defendant Brian Koberger. But she doesn't really understand what's going on, and she goes back to bed. The other roommate, who very well may have slept through the whole thing, is the focus of what we're talking about right now, 21-year-old Bethany Funk. She may have slept through it. She may have seen something, may have heard something. We don't know. Why don't we know? Because her police report and interview is sealed. Now, if you look at the filings by this defense attorney, Ann C. Taylor, it's nothing more than a stunt that is terrorizing a survivor of this brutal slaying. In fact, in motions like these, it's called domestication of an out-of-state subpoena. You must state why the witness is material, why they've got to travel all the way from Reno, nearly 700 miles, back to Moscow, Idaho, to testify for the man the state believes killed her roommates. They say she may have information. That's not enough.
That's an
So
important,
this is a stunt
that's
by the defense.
Yeah, important distinction there. I was assuming she was the one who did encounter him at 4:00 in the morning, but she wasn't. Now,
Exactly.
here's what the affidavit says from the private investigator. This is what he writes: Bethany Funk present at the home 8 hours later when police were called. Arrived on scene, discovered the homicides. During the course of my investigation, became known to me that Bethany Funk has information material to the charges against Mr. Koberger. Portions of information Ms. Funk has is exculpatory to the defendant. Here's the key line: Ms. Funk's information is unique to her experiences and cannot be provided by another witness. Would a judge accept her rationale and not force her to testify, at least at the pretrial hearing? Do you think that'll happen, Nancy?
I do not believe a judge is going to enforce this subpoena, and I'll tell you why. This is a prelim. Nobody expects the defense to put up any evidence. This is a bare bone charging mechanism. The state will put up as few witnesses as possible.
See,
This
she
is
was
just
already
enough
fighting the
evidence
subpoena
to decide
anyway.
whether there's a question of fact for a jury. Now, clearly the subpoena was going to fail because, I mean, in this motion, the defense filed, they can't even spell the survivor's name correctly. They misspell it the whole way through. They miss all the legal hurdles you have to reach to get a witness to come from out of state for a jury trial, which this is not. But I've got news for you. In the last hours, there's been a Hail Mary, and somehow Brian Koberger's defense has gotten this young girl, who very likely saw all of her friends' murdered bodies, to agree, we hear, to a sit-down interview in her home in Reno.
Wow.
Not travel back to Idaho, not be put on a witness stand, but to have an interview. Now, I would advise her, if you're listening, Bethany Funk, to have a lawyer and your parents with you, as well as the prosecutor during this interview, if it indeed happens.
Yeah, good advice. Nancy, nice to see you. We'll see what happens when it comes to that, right? Prelim end of June could go 3 to 5 days, and we're going to learn a lot during that period. Thank you, Nancy. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Well, I'm on mute. And then, as we know, today, the end of June, today, miraculously, they got a plea deal. So, as we know, the death penalty's off the table, and then there won't be no trial. They'll go July 2nd, and he will enter that plea deal. The sentencing will be held, and then the families will be invited to deliver their statements publicly in court, and the statements will become part of the public record. And even though the sentencing is agreed upon, the family impact statements will be allowed to be heard. That's what's pretty much going to happen. And that'll provide closure and acknowledgement of the victims' lives. And they ensure that without a full trial, the human cost of the crime is the front and center of everything. Now, will there be cameras allowed? Well, first of all, they haven't said, because they were not going to allow cameras, but since, I mean, it's a possibility. It's a slim possibility, but it is a possibility still, because it's slim because it's only a few days away. However, because it's such high profile, and because now there's no jurors that's going to be in the courtroom, it's a possibility. Is it a probability? I don't know. I don't know if anyone's heard anything or not. All this is just breaking, so I don't know. But it is a possibility. It's up to the judge. It's his full discretion. Or they may want to ban them completely. I don't know. Or he may just permit them or permit photos. I don't know. So usually they let cameras in during sentencing, especially for victim impact statements. So I don't know. Again, that's crazy. The bottom line is no official ruling yet on that. But it's common for the families and public to advocate for transparency and request it. Who knows? It's only a few days away. So I really don't know. But I did want to bring this to you. I know it's all over the internet. It's already been out there. But it did come up in my live today. I did not want to ignore this. We have 4 victims here. And now we have the victims' families. And now to learn that some of them wasn't even told of this was just a slap in the face. And I sincerely want the families to know I stand behind them 100%. I think it was wrong. I'm truly sorry. And our prayers and thoughts here at Smiley's World is definitely with them. And I thank you once again for coming to spend this time here with me. And I hope to see you again, if not tonight, tomorrow. So thank you again for your time. It's always a pleasure. And Lord only knows what tomorrow is going to bring. No, it's fine, Rogue. I like Chris. It's fine. It's no problem. I knew he would be on it. I got to see a little bit of Justin's as well, but not very much. My son came in with his 2 little ones, and it's been raining here, and I had Happy groomed, and well, she gets groomed once in a while, but she gets more because she don't get cut or anything because she's a Boston Terrier, but she gets more of I spoil her every once in a while. That's what she got today. So my husband had to go get her, and she come in, and the other dogs was sniffing her and all the things. So it's just been crazy around here today. But y'all hit that thumbs up. I appreciate you being here. And it's storming out there again. My goodness, y'all be careful in this weather wherever you're at. So I'll see you. Thank you, mods, so much. Thank you, subscribers. Thank you, chatters. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I love you so much. Y'all have a great evening, okay? All right, bye.